Song of the week this week is Juke Joint by Marbin. Okay, let's talk about it. This one is an F minor. So, how's it go? That's the A section. Now, to understand that melody, you gotta know the chords that it's played on. So it's an F minor, it starts on the 1 chord, but there's a pickup, right? It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 2, 2, doom, ba ba bum. So it sort of starts on 2 of the measure before, like 1. Bum, ba, bum, bum, be-do-da, very syncopated. In terms of the notes, if you want to think about the chord of that previous measure, it's really a C7 leading to that F minor. So it's an enclosure around the root of that 5 chord. And then really an enclosure around the root. And that's the first chord, F minor. And then that same enclosure, but now it's around the 5th of that F. And then it goes 5, 1, the 5th, the root of the 4 chord, where it's going. So it's going from F minor to B flat minor. So we went. And then it moves to the G7 chord, which is the 5 of 5 in the key. That note is where the chord changes and it lands on the 3rd of that G. And then it goes to the 5 chord, C7, and then resolves back to the root. That's the A section and it repeats twice. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Comping wise, the way I play the chords, I play an F minor with a 9 and a 13th, a big boy minor chord from the gypsy jazz. So we have this little thing we all do as a band that goes, which is really an enclosure around that root of the G to the 3rd, and then we walk down from the 5th, flatted 5th, and land on the C7. Here's the B section. So harmonically, it goes from F7, 5 of 4, to B flat minor. Now, at this point, I'm really thinking about this in the key of A flat major, the whole B section. So that first chord, I wouldn't even call it 5 of 4 anymore. I'd really call it 5 of 2, because that B flat's really a 2 chord. So 5 of 2, 2, 5 chord, E flat 7, 1. A flat major 7 to D flat major 7 is the 4 chord. Then it goes to another 2-5, B flat minor, E flat 7, A flat major 7 to the 4 chord, D flat major 7. Now we sort of move back to that F minor. It's a cadence that goes there. So that G7, I'm really thinking about that now as 5 of 5. Then I have this weird D flat 7 voicing. But you can think about that as a normal D flat 7. But since it's coming from Lydian dominant, you can put that G in there. And then it just resolves to a C7. So the last couple of chords there, I think about them in F minor, like 5 of 5, sub 5 of 5, a tritone substitution to the 5 chord. So again, that whole section. So in terms of soloing, the saxophone solo plays over that entire form, usually twice. In a what to play over what and what Dani's doing mentality, you want to think about really F Dorian on the 1 chord. B flat Dorian on the 4 chord and B flat minor. That G7 is C harmonic minor, so it's Mixolydian flat 2, flat 6. And then that C7 usually would be altered. Think like D flat melodic minor on the C7, back to F Dorian. Or melodic minor works too. Let's move to the B section, which is more interesting harmonically. So the F7 is B flat harmonic minor, Mixolydian flat 2, flat 6. To B flat Dorian. That E flat is E flat Mixolydian. Then it goes to A flat Ionian. D flat Lydian, then back 2 5 1 4, same exact changes. So B flat Dorian, E flat Mixolydian, A flat Ionian, D flat Lydian, and then the turnaround. Now, in this case, I'm gonna think about G altered because you have that tritone sub, and it's the same scale on both of them. So G altered and that D flat Lydian dominant are gonna be really the same sound. So on, and then when you get to that C7, altered as well probably. Now there's an interlude between the guitar and sax solo that goes just a pentatonic thing almost. So it's a pentatonic thing, but it ends with this C augmented line. And then so first time it goes up, second time it goes down, but it's just F blues with that C augmented to conclude. And then there's the guitar solo, the moment everybody gives a fuck, right? Yeah. So it's the simplest thing. Back in those days, I was a little afraid of changes. I gotta admit, I was more in a rock mentality. And all it is just like F, A flat, B flat, D flat, C. and it just repeats in a loop. So it's a 4-measure loop, right? Or 8 measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 measure. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, occasionally, our bassist lets go of the changes and makes up his own harmony that's sort of in F. And every time he does that, I want to strangle a bitch. So if you're a bassist covering this song or anybody playing chords, just play the fucking loop. I know you're bored, but you chose your life. I didn't choose for you to be a bassist. You chose to be a bassist, right? So you're gonna have to deal with it and play the fucking changes. Okay, so yeah, what I do over that, since it's kind of open, what you really never want to do on a 4-measure thing that has changes is always play the changes. So if I play this way, meaning like F minor, A flat, B flat, D flat, C, it's too much of the spelling out the harmony, and the harmony doesn't really tell a very interesting story. It's sort of a loop. I just think about it like a pentatonic melody, almost like. Even that D flat, it doesn't really matter. Just kind of like it's just telling the story of an F minor pentatonic thing. So I'm ignoring the changes and superimposing my own ways of creating tension, getting back to that F. So one of the main tools is just playing that game between imagining an altered chord, C altered, D flat melodic minor, back to an F sound. That kind of thing. I have a lot of shit on this song because I've been playing it forever. But there are all sorts of things I do that are more F Dorian leaning and sort of ignore the changes. There's a lot of F minor pentatonic stuff. There's a lot of stuff you can do with mixing up other kinds of pentatonics that are inside the Dorian tonality. So if you go from an F minor pentatonic to a G minor pentatonic to even a C minor pentatonic, it sounds pretty all right on all these changes. Going from, let's say, lines like that. So I really played inside this sound. They're all notes that belong to Dorian, but they give you a little bit of flavor and it breaks it up kind of nicely. Another thing is just arpeggiating that pretend C7 chord to create tension, really landing a lot on the 9s and the 13s of the F, and the 4th, the 11th degree is really nice. Really trying to focus on those G's, D's, and B flats on the F gives it a lot of color. And then playing a ton of passing tones to where you don't sound too rocky in your playing. Another thing is understanding the groove, which is kind of a straight groove, and understanding how to create rhythmic tension using a lot of triplets. Quintuplets are really nice too. This kind of tempo, bigger intervals, lots of tools that I use. After the solo, I just use that same line that I did back here for the interlude an octave up. That sound, and then we're back at the melody. There's a little break, and Dani takes the lead. And now we just play one A section, one B section, and finally we end with this rubato line that me and Dani play in unison that just is chromatic from C to E flat and then F to G sharp. So, and the last note is that ninth of F minor with an F. And we just sort of swell up a trem all together, crescendo, and it's over. So we're gonna include the backing track for this in the description, also a link to the original. Play over it. Feel free to send us you playing over it. We'll tell you what the fuck's wrong with you. And please leave a comment, like this, do all the things. We'll see you next time.